Conscious collaboration brings together entrepreneurs, changemakers, and thought leaders. We aim to highlight the people that embody the idea of aligned mind, body, and business. Each week, we share, discuss, and learn from the various experiences and ideas of our guest experts. Through our discovery, we find a path to an aligned mind, body, and business.
Hi, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Emily, and together we are the Conscious Collaboration Podcast. I was going to sing it, but it didn't flow right.
Have a new podcast song, so
yeah, I mean, we could make like a remix every week. Actually, the image that I got is from Full House, and do you remember how it was like a side hustle for, or maybe it was their full hustle, I don't remember, but for Uncle Jesse and Uncle Joey, and they made the jingles.
Yeah, I think that was their full-time hustle, and then like the band gig was their side, I think.
Right.
On the side. Yeah.
Right.
But aside the point, that's not good for them. But we don't have that. We don't have that time or talent.
We hey, speak for yourself, ma'am. I think I would be a really great jingle creator.
That was beautiful. I do take it back. I'm sorry.
And we got professional microphones. We got the recording studio. We got all the tools we need.
I know. Where does that
for a career switch?
Yeah.
That's not actually the topic today, though, is it? So Lisa and I communicate probably 60% via reels and memes through our Instagram inbox. And then of that 60% of communication, probably 75%, no, more than that, 85 to 90% of that is like funny shit, right? But every now and again, we'll slip in a more serious reel or topic, or
that's supportive.
We say that that's both how we know that there, because we don't watch the news anymore. So we say that's how we know that there's something going on, as you start seeing memes of Justin Timberlake's mugshot, Anyway, so in one of the serious category, Lisa sent me a reel that I liked. Who was that talking? Do you know?
Oh, I had to go back. I don't know. It was another podcast, and it was really good.
I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter.
Well, if I find it, I will give props to it because it was really good. But anyway, go ahead.
Sure. For sure. So, but basically he pointed out, and we've talked about this topic before. If you've been a OG listener, I think this was one of our earliest episodes, where we kind of talked about this idea of self-sacrifice, and how that was never the move. Basically, and this guy was talking about it in a way that I really liked. And he was talking about it in the context of friendship. But of course, as we always do on the show, you can apply this to any other relationship, family, romantic, business, what have you. But he was saying that rather than self-sacrifice being sort of the ultimate indication of friendship, it's instead that you basically say to each other, I will take care of myself in honor of you, and you take care of yourself in honor of me. And I thought that was just dope and amazing. And we know about the concept of putting your own oxygen mask on first. And I think in a lot of ways we can kind of most easily relate to this idea in the relationship of parents and children, right? Like, yes, your children are maybe one of the only people that you could ever consider like a true self-sacrifice for in some circumstances, but generally we can understand that self-sacrificing to the point of our own detriment actually does our children no good. because if we're not around or if we're not full and whole for our children, then we can't help them, we can't save them, we can't raise them, we can't model what they need to see and experience. So but I think that can be applied in a broader sense to every relationship, and to really kind of get us out of this mindset of like self-sacrifice being the way to be a good friend or a good partner or a good family member.
Well, I think it's like, and I think it has, I don't know if he talks about in the podcast because I didn't listen to the whole thing and I can't find his name. It looks like it was deleted, but I think it got timed out. It must have been a story, but I think there's a lot of codependency in that type of relationship. If you're, ideally seeking to have an interdependence, the more whole that you can show up yourself and the more whole that the other person can be when you're spending that time together, then, that's when you get power couples and power collaborations. And I think that, and we do self-sacrifice a lot sometimes. And some of that's maybe necessary, but some of it could be out of balance too.
Way out of balance. I think at the same point as that's the easiest context to understand it, it's also the one that gets the most out of whack. I mean, how many moms do you know that almost give up their own identity entirely for their kids, and their entire lives revolves around.
And I think we learn a lot of that behavior from our moms that mean very well. The concept of I'm doing this because I love you. And what you're witnessing is like, but that doesn't look like fun, like that, that's or healthy. It should be more like I'm the best self I could possibly be because I love you.
Right. I mean, in any given situation, a person who is fit and well nourished and well rested and has good coping mechanisms for stress and emotions is going to be a better parent, a better business partner, a better romantic partner, a better friend, a better everything, because they feel good, they have energy. And in a lot of cases, I think you can look at the self-sacrifice dynamic, and eventually, even if the intention is quote unquote pure initially, if that continues, then eventually it's going to turn into a relationship wherein the self-sacrificing person is actually draining the energy from the other, because they are depleted in one way or another. And like we were talking about beforehand, as you pointed out, that resentment starts to build.
Yeah. And it comes from a place like no one ever asked, no one ever asked for the additional help. No one ever asked for the additional outpouring of love or energy or effort or time, or, work or projects or, lessening of your life to pour more into something. No one asked for that. So, the resentment is self-perpetuated. The other person may be totally unaware that you're, I'm just saying because that we or our, whoever is exhibiting this is doing all of this at all.
Yeah. And the mystery guy on the podcast also pointed out something else that I thought was interesting, and I've kind of said it in different ways as well, but like it's very subconsciously this way, I think, a lot of the times, but really that self-sacrifice is more so of an image of being for somebody else,
like a martyr. Yeah.
and really it's kind of more for yourself. And I think the word he used was your own contentment.
Yeah. Gosh, I wish we could find that.
And that's not malicious, but um or I mean it could be. People could use it
breaking your own,
in a way.
busting your own boundaries that you should have.
Yeah. Yeah. So self disrespect,
Mm-hmm.
right? But also, for some maybe feel a deep hidden feeling of satisfaction, like
Mm-hmm.
I did this, I am the ultimate martyr kind of thing. Um just to be really candid about it, this was a behavior that I used to exhibit in my romantic relationships a lot, that I had to kind of figure that out and work through and quit doing that shit. It's not
Yeah.
it doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't serve anybody in that context or any others.
Yeah. I think it's a good reminder. I've definitely been there in all the different types of relationships, from personal, friendship, romantic, and work relationships. I've gotten to that place of depleting myself, and I'm glad that it's being spoken about more. I'm glad that there's more topics like Brene Brown out there, and people that talk about communication and having this dialogue externally, because you're not going to really catch it. Unless you're very, very mindful. I like to think that we're very mindful people, but it's like you almost need to. You need to have that processing, that verbalization, to realize what you're doing outwardly.
Yeah.
I mean, at least I do. It's not something that I'm going to contemplate in, my own self-reflection or meditation. It's more like, boy, it would be something like, I'd be like, oh, Emily, I feel so drained because I've been doing this and this and this. And you'd be like, why are you doing that?
Yeah. Yeah, mine was pretty blatant. I just used to have way worse habits and behaviors when it comes to how I show up in romantic relationships specifically. For me, and I'd be interested to see what Dr. Carlos and some of our psychology oriented friends have to say about this, but maybe there's some element of feeling like you have to perform or create your own value as a person when you were younger in and maybe it's specific to certain types of relationships. I don't know. I'd be interested to learn more about that, about what makes that tick.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it's helpful to have the framework of like, and I know there's flaws in all the different types of psychology frameworks out there. Like there's, the love languages. And I know,
Yeah, I don't like love languages because food's not on there.
I think it is now. Well, I mean, I think it falls into one of the categories, but yeah, I mean, we could pick that apart all day, but just to have that conversation, and maybe it's also the same case, like to have that conversation professionally, if you're working in a work partnership, like just to understand that one person's way of communicating and working and contributing is not the other person's way. So if I know, like, you're, well, I mean, I do know this about you. Like, I know you're like a great contributor in terms of like, you have good design and you could come up with great songs, and, artistic direction, and all the health and wellness knowledge and all of that. But that's like, I know those things about you, and I know that you're a gift giver, and a lot of people aren't gift givers. They don't like think specifically like, oh, think of this of a person. I'm going to get this for this person. That's, some people the other types of languages. So
yeah, and I mean, I think too, with like when you blur the lines with caregiver stuff, so that can be mom, nurse, just a person who generally, when you like to make sure that the people around you feel good, and that can be a very good thing, but left sort of unmanaged, then it can easily, and especially if you combine that with like a crazy work ethic,
right.
you can find yourself in this place of like, wait, who am I really doing what for? I think that's a good self-assessment question, just to ask yourself from time to time, or when you're, feeling burnt out specifically, or when you're about to make a really big decision or do something really big or something like that, like okay, why and for whom am I actually doing this thing? And I think sometimes if we're really honest with ourselves too, we find that we're kind of doing the thing because we think we should, or we're supposed to, or in some way like kind of worried about judgment, like, oh, what will they, what will they think if I don't do XYZ? How will it look if I don't do XYZ? Will I look like this selfish person? And it's just kind of a whole train of thought where we're self-judging and then projecting that onto other people.
Yeah.
As if we're being judged for not doing the thing. And the cycle continues, I guess.
Yeah, societal norms of what you think you're supposed to do versus really what you could agree upon in any type of interaction with a friendship or a partnership or whatever that may be. I think it's also like more just like, how do I feel in someone's presence without me trying to manipulate by using all of my like, I think, it's you like a purpose in a friendship is not to, I mean, we can be entertaining to each other, but
but it's not,
it's not, anyone's function to be entertaining or to uplift necessarily. Sure, it's nice, but like, how do you feel in someone's presence, and do you feel responsible, like you have to do XYZ to result in something else, that they should be feeling.
Right, because in your healthy and authentic relationships, especially in terms of friendships and romantic, the other person is not, if it is healthy, wanting you to sacrifice your own well-being for their entertainment or pleasure or comfort.
Yeah,
they don't want that. They want the whole and best and healthiest version of you.
And I think at some point too, like, well, I mean, it's the image and reputation that you choose, the people that you have around you. So it reflects, it's projected and it reflects on you. So I think it's just more like to think of it as like we, want to be uplifting and attracting and, I would say like calming and like peaceful and safe, all of these things rather than chaotic and um having I would say like trying to think of other words than toxic, but
toxic is so trendy.
It is.
But it is toxic if you get into that cycle of self-sacrificing, and I would bet that if you are that type of person who is constantly self-sacrificing, that will repel your healthier relationships and attract more people who feel like they need to perform in order to be in that relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know how people, and even like what even applies to our pets, but the more you spend time around people, the more you start to look like them or take on their qualities. I think that's like, just like to check yourself. Like, am I being a good contributor to this? I mean, it matters. It starts to like just, shape overall health. It's like when you're with a partner for so long, a romantic partner or roommate or someone that you're living with for so long. And if all you're doing is Netflixing and eating ice cream and drinking all day, you're collectively going to deteriorate.
Yes.
And so
you probably won't be roommates for long because you won't be able to pay rent.
Right.
Doing those activities.
Right, exactly. So I think that's interesting. Do you want to pull a couple I Ching cards and see?
Do it.
What that would do? Okay. So what type of question can we put around this? Like,
listen, I'm the jingle person. You're the question person.
Okay, well, maybe you can make a jingle about it. So
yeah, you make the question and I'll give it a.
What are some indications that we should look for in our professional, romantic, and personal relationships to indicate harmony or disharmony? Should we do positive or negative? What are some indications that we can look for in our important relationships, our closest relationships, to indicate that we should make improvements? And then in the future, what can we be doing better to bring harmony and growth? And does that make sense? Related
Sure.
to communication? Okay. So as we'll
find out, won't we?
Yeah. So I know it. See right now, unless you're going to be watching this on YouTube. I'm looking for two energies to pop out: the present and then the future. So the present's assessing, and it's talking about dispersing. So this is what can we look for in our current relationships? And then what can we do to improve this in the future? So dispersing is hexagram 59, and it's wind above and water below. Oop, oop. And then
whoopsie daisy,
it just catapulted out there. You weren't looking at me, but it somersaulted. It was the future energy is overview.
Okay. We've gotten this one before.
Yeah. Are you starting to remember these? Are you like learning
some of them? Yeah.
Yeah. So if you remember dispersing, and this is like, we've gotten this recently, it shows like the waves crashing and there's like an island. There you go. So there's like an island there.
Yeah, I don't remember dispersing one, but.
So dispersing is very much like a separation. Sometimes it can be a separation of self. So as we're assessing, and this is talking about assessing our relationships to look for this imbalance. And if it's talking about dispersing, okay. Well, it talks about nothing survives, nothing survives forever. So that's important to think about in terms of relationships, because that's true.
Well, especially if you're busy self-sacrificing.
Yeah, exactly. It's important to remember that all obstacles will dissolve in time too. And it talks about rigidity in the hearts of humans. It breeds egocentric separateness. But this can be transformed by a greater force, such as an uplifting ceremony or any other communal activity, or even just having like an out conversation, which I think oftentimes we just skip that conversation. Like what are the intentions? What are the agreements? What are the boundaries? before the heart, the first thing to dissolve is any mental rigidity that might be feeding a sense of separation from others. So if we're talking about assessing, it's important to like reflect on your personal, your business, your romantic relationships, and do you feel a separation? Try to work closely with your friends and compatriots, concentrating on common activities that emanate from your integrity and your goodwill. So,
right, not your sacrificial
it's not talking
nature.
about anything about needing to do anything on your own. It's talking about doing things in union.
Mm-hmm.
If you avoid righteous indignation or aggressive force of any kind, any sense of disunity can be overcome. If you have lingering business or partnerships that are inactive or not working, this reading suggests that you consider dissolving them. So if you're listening to this and you had in mind these relationships and partnerships, are you sensing any dispersing energy, meaning a separation? Are your focuses on are they coming from a place of unity, or do you feel a separation that needs to be talked about openly? Not, but you could have a ceremony about it, but you could just have a conversation.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense too, because especially thinking back to the context of romantic relationships, that's kind of where a lot of the self-sacrifice comes in when you sense a rift or a separation, and instead of strengthening your own boundaries or trying to bring yourselves together, you do the self-sacrificing. And wait, where was I going with that? What I was going to
Instead
pull
of
out another part of the
instead of
card.
communicating it, then you're
You
doing.
oh, you try harder. That's where I was going with that. You could just keep trying harder. And so I was kind of thinking of like that, the righteous indignation, right? Like at a
Yeah,
certain point, you're just kind of tripping over your own feet, just trying harder because you feel that sense of separation.
yeah. Ooh, I definitely do that. Have done
Hmm.
that. I think everybody does
Hmm.
that to a degree. But if you take this moment and you're recognizing this, if you're scanning all of your relationships and you notice this separation, are you exhibiting that behavior? And chances are the person's not picking up on what you're doing by depleting or overpouring. And it probably
Or
might
they're repelling. They're
repel. Yeah.
drifting farther
Yeah.
because that ain't
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, it's
Nobody wants that.
self-sacrificing can be very manipulative in a way, even though
Yeah,
it's coming from
yeah,
a great place. You think the
it
more
can
that I
be.
do this, the better it will be.
The more that this person will validate or accept, or we'll get closer together, or they'll see how hard I try for them. It can be a form of manipulation, attempting to control a situation, even if it's not, again, like malicious manipulation.
Yeah. So, any of you guys out there, if that's resonating, time to have a conversation about it, probably. In a business sense, this might be like, and I don't do this a lot in my business partnerships either, but you do an agreement and a contract, an agreement, shake hands on something, and you don't revisit it. So I really think that there's benefit to all the seasons that we've been through, especially since COVID. I don't know. There's been a lot of seasons in the last 5, 6 years, and a lot of changes in people. We're not the same people that we were 6 years ago. I think there's benefit to having more frequent check-ins, like revisit. Let's just look at, one thing that I know. If I don't, have you served in any board of directors or anything like that before?
No, not in an official capacity, I suppose.
So the thing I like, I've served on a few boards, and I am still active in the International Feng Shui Guild. But one thing I like about, we don't spend every day together, but when we do get together, we always read our mission and our mission and our bylaws, um, beginning every time we get together. But it's almost like it doesn't need to be formal, but it's almost like it would be nice to have that check-in.
Well, Dr. John Deloney, whose podcast I put you on to, he gives this exercise for romantic relationships, but I think it could absolutely be applied in other relationships, especially in a point where you feel some kind of a rift or an issue, or where you're about to, go do something important, or just any time. Like, I think he recommends this just like on a daily basis too, but to ask the other person, what is your picture of this? What is the picture in your head of today, or of this event, or of, this element of this partnership, and then to share yours as well. And that just kind of opens up the lines of communication so much because I guess most of the disconnect comes from you guys having completely different pictures of a scenario, but not actually communicating that.
Yeah. We always assume that everyone has the same perspective or experience that we do going through things.
Well, and just, even the smallest little thing, I think he uses a lot, like the example of, just like a husband and wife on Valentine's Day or whatever. And husband thinks he's doing good by, oh yeah, I just, we're going to go out on a hot date and this and that and the third, and gets all this stuff ready, and he's feeling good because he's put, all this effort into it. Wherein if they would have just, and maybe the wife just wants like to, for once, sit back, Netflix and chill and have dinner served to her, or whatever the case may be. Two different pictures of a relatively simple scenario, but that could result in just unnecessary resentment or whatever, because he thinks that that we should go out and do this and this and this, and he made all these plans and didn't even think about what I wanted, and that kind of thing. And that could have all been resolved with a simple like understanding of how the other one sees a particular scenario.
Yeah, I think that's a good concept. There's a few couples that I've met in feng shui and in some of our friend groups, and I know Marcus shared in our podcast in one of the earlier episodes, just that like in a relationship, just having that like almost like a nice to meet you, kind of like that type of conversation of like where you are today, and do we choose to continue things the same?
Yeah, just a vibe check, basically.
Vibe check. Yeah. So yeah, and it can be a dispersing of perspectives to that point. And there's only one change line. It just really talks about trustworthy information is a powerful asset during a time of rapid dissolution. So whether it's the dissolving of an enterprise or a relationship, once things are clear, regrets will fall away along with any obstructions. It's like get it all out in the open. It's probably not everybody's favorite thing to do, but sometimes that's what will get the issue to dissolve, or the obstruction, the challenge, or the dispersing, not the outpouring of like all your energy.
Right. Just try harder.
Right.
Lay down, bleed.
Right.
Yeah. And be like, why didn't he see what I was doing for him?
So the advice going forward makes complete sense. Relating to that, it's the energy of overview, hexagram 20. And it just calls for composure and contemplation. And it's the result of deep introspection. An invisible energy emanates from us, influencing others without their being aware of it. So really just reinforcing the beingness of who you are versus the doingness of who you are. we influence people by how we're showing up, not by all the things that we're doing. It talks about like the wind blowing across the treetops, and its presence is perceived through the effect it has on everything it touches. So not to underestimate the force of that. During a period in between events, the practice of stillness with the awareness is beneficial. So it points to a lot of self-reflection. Examine yourself and your situation, not just with the thought of discovering truth, but also with the idea of focusing your personal power. And this is a time to see and be seen. So interesting.
I love that. Yeah.
There's a lot of
personal power. It is very empowering to stop doing that shit.
It is. And like, and to your point at the beginning of our discussion, like ask yourself, why am I doing it? Who am I doing this for? Am I doing it to make myself feel better? Or do I think that I'm going to cause a certain reaction in someone else?
Right. And if you find yourself on that train of thought, be really honest about your answer. And if you find yourself on that train of thought that it's to try to influence the actions or the thinking of someone else, and we all do this in some way, but like that's your own red flag. That's manipulative in nature. So
yep,
we don't want that.
Always good insight there. That works perfectly. I think that brings like I don't know. I think that would bring a depth to the continuing the conversation that we heard on the podcast itself, or that little section that we listened to. It's really, we can all be toxic, even when we think it's coming.
We can all be toxic.
Beautiful. That's gonna, that's gonna be the title.
All right.
What's your
I told you I was good at it.
Yeah, you really are. I'm going to add that to your list. When we have our
resume of skills.
When we have our collaboration friend check-in, in full transparency, that's one of your... Do you have any other...
Wait, who's going to make the jingle, guys? I got this.
Oh. I do love that. Like, do you love that reel that makes it around every now and then where it's that lady from the 80s and they're like, do you have any other special skills that you would like?
Yeah. That's our little ta-da emoji. She does a little spin move with the finger gun. Like,
yes. Oh, yeah. Always bring that type of energy to your relationships.
If you sang the jingle, we can all be toxic, and then you add the little spin move at the end.
Yeah,
it's like
Uncle Jesse would be proud.
Temptations, yeah.
It is. In conclusion, if you are depleting yourself, you're toxic, and you're also depleting of all of your relationships. So don't do that.
Stop.
Just stop it.
Stop.
Well, this has been fun. I think I bet you this has resonated with a lot of people out there. What do you think? Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, guys, if this resonated with you, come inside of the Conscious Collaboration Collective, our close and private Facebook group. You can find us by that name. You can find us on Instagram, send us your messages. And we have some guests joining us in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that.
And if it didn't resonate with you, I don't believe you.
And if it didn't resonate with you, please let us know.
You're wrong.
You are our next guest because we need to learn from you. So we also want to hear from you. All right, guys. Well, it's been fun.
It has.
All right. I'll talk to you in
Let's do it again sometime.
Oh, next week. See you
next
there.
week. All right. Talk to you in 5. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank y'all so much for listening to our podcast. If you haven't yet,
please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends so they can join our circle of collaboration on this journey. You can find us on Instagram at Conscious Collaboration Podcast, on Spotify, iTunes, and Audible, to name a few. Please join us next time for another deep dive into how you can live life in more alignment, mind, body, and business. Send us your questions and comments in our DMs or email us at consciouscollaborationpodcast@gmail.com. See you in 5 minutes.